Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
Why do people still buy pets as gifts?
What is a bathroom buddy?
And what do you need to know about this episode?
All this and more on Gory Story Time.
Warning. Gory Storytime is a horror movie review show by a son and his dad who thought that letting his 5-year-old watch scary movies was acceptable. If you are offended by horror or talk about blood and gore by a child, or if you don't want horror movies from the 60s through today spoiled, then there is a remote stuck in your couch cushion next to potato chip crumbs. Use it. And of course, parental discretion is advised.
Why? You didn't use any.
Shut up and start the show.
Welcome to Gory Story Time. I'm your host, Jason.
Did you forget who you were for a second? I'm his co-host and father, Craig, and apparently he's an idiot.
Yeah.
This is him sober. Anyway, quickly, let me answer those questions. They're dumb, the invention of the century, and like Biggie said, there's rules to this. Anyway.
All right.
It's true.
It's true. It's very true.
All right, this week, for those who watched last weekend, we started a series of 4 movies that were like...
See, what we did was we lied to you.
Yeah, we said, hey, psychological thrillers that aren't actually quite horror, but they're horrific.
But instead
we'll get
of
back to
actually
that
doing
because it's
that
now
right
the
now.
beginning of December, so we're going to do, instead of one Christmas movie this year like we usually
And
do...
not just 2 Christmas movies or 3.
For December, we're doing Christmas movies.
Well, we're doing them.
And we're starting off this year with Gremlins.
Absolutely.
For those of you who don't know, live on the planet. No,
I mean, kind of.
Anyway, no, it's a man goes to Chinatown, buys his son a creature from a young boy, because the old man that owned the shop wouldn't sell it.
Because it
And-
comes with too much responsibility.
Yes. With too much responsibility comes great
too much power.
Anyway.
Yeah. All right. So that's a thing.
So, and then hell is raised.
Yeah.
We'll get into more of that, but anyway. Yeah, it's Gremlins. You've probably seen it. If you haven't,
If you haven't seen
go see
Gremlins,
it,
you're not
'cause
watching the show.
It's from
so
1984.
we're not talking to
We
you.
are really going to
We're
do
going to spoil
spoilers. There's
some stuff from this.
Absolutely. And so definitely watch the movie first.
Yeah.
But then come back and still watch us.
Because we're still good.
Because then we're no longer making fun of you for having not seen it. Because you'll have seen it. See?
Exactly. So,
All right.
I guess this is where we roll the trailer
This
then?
is where we roll the trailer
So,
for
trailer
the
be rolled.
3 people that don't know.
Steven Spielberg presents Gremlins. Billy Pelser has a nice home.
Billy, is that you?
Yeah, Mom, it's me.
A nice job. A nice girl.
If you're not doing anything this Thursday night, maybe you'd like to go out on a date with me?
I'd love to.
And loving parents who are about to give him
You're gonna like this. No, don't shake it. We're gonna have to open it now. It won't wait till Christmas.
the most unusual gift he ever got.
What is it?
It's your new pet.
Come on, Barney, be a good dog. My dad gave it to me.
But there are a few things to keep in mind. If you expose it to the light, you may hurt it. If you get it wet, it will multiply.
All that from water? They got wet?
Yeah, plain water.
And most important, no matter how much they beg, never let them eat after midnight. Because when they do, they change. They become clever, mischievous,
What's going on here?
and dangerous.
Gremlins, huh? Little monsters.
Right.
Hundreds of them.
Well, I don't know, maybe thousands.
They've been here too. Billy, what are these things? Where do they come from?
Look, I know it sounds crazy, I know. But in a few hours, you're gonna have a major disaster on your hands.
Gremlins, directed by Joe Dante. They'll be expecting you.
Well, all right. That seemed...
To get the point across.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. Anywho, let's see. Before we get into the behind the scenes, or
The meat and beef of the show.
we're going to have to explain why we're really here. See, we're not here the way you think we are to review horror movies.
No.
We just use that as an excuse
That's our
to
front.
make tons of money.
Yeah.
And we do that by finding sponsors that want to pay us truckloads of cash to promote their items that are for sale. These all actually exist and can really be purchased. And in some cases should be real. I mean, wait, no, are. This week, the sponsors for Gory Storytime, let's see. Gory Storytime is brought to you by Crazy Carl's House of Cryptids, a zoo for different types of animals you've never seen before, all in one place. We've got elves straight from the North Pole, Sasquatches, we've got dragons from China, unicorns, and for the first time ever, we have the rarely seen honest politician. Just kidding, they don't exist. Anyway, we do have a petting zoo for those of you with children. That's Crazy Carl's House of Cryptids. You won't believe your eyes. And by
Christmas stories to depress you. Are you happy? Do all the statistics about depression during the holidays make you jealous? Then our 10-volume set of stories to bring you down are here to help. Stories of robbery, death, dismemberment, and worse. Each story gets you a little closer to hating the Christmas season. If you join our monthly subscription service, you'll receive one volume with a special gift each month. Special gifts like a CD of depression carols, bummer bumper stickers, and more. That's Christmas stories to depress you.
do depress you.
To depress. Because sometimes
depress you.
Because sometimes you don't want to be jolly.
You have a hair sticking off of your chin. Yep, there you go. Anyway, all right. Now that we've sold our souls for cash,
Souls and vessels.
why don't we get to some behind-the-scenes information?
Look at me. All right. The set for Kingston Falls is the same one used for Back to the Future in 1985. Both movies were filmed
So annoying.
on the Universal Studios backlot.
Originally, Stripe and Gizmo were the same character. This changed when executive producer Steven Spielberg insisted one of the Gremlins should be a good guy with whom the audience could identify. Joe Dante expresses that this decision was the reason why the film is fondly remembered.
Probably.
But I think it would have been kind of cool if they were all a-holes.
It could have been, but then it would have been
It
a
would have
lot
been a
less
different-
heartfelt.
Well, it was meant to be a horror movie originally, but I'm sure that gets in here.
The Santa speech proved to be controversial, and studio executives insisted upon its removal because they felt it was too ambiguous as to whether it was supposed to be funny or sad. Director Joe Dante, however, stubbornly refused to take the scene out, saying it represented this movie as a whole, which had a combination of horrific and comedic elements. Executive producer Spielberg did not like the scene, but despite his creative control, he viewed this movie as Dante's project and allowed him to leave it in. That's good.
In Cantonese, Mogwai means devil, demon, or gremlin. The Mandarin pronunciation is Mogwai. I don't know. It
Doesn't look different. I mean, it
written
looks different, but it's. I don't know if it would be said different.
Yeah, like that's not helpful.
No. One of the studio notes to director Joe Dante and executive producer Steven Spielberg on seeing the first cut was that there were too many gremlins. Spielberg suggested cutting them all out and calling the movie People.
He's a smart ass, and I love it. Zach Gilligan recounted in an interview that when the movie was...
Galligan.
Yeah, Galligan, not Gilligan.
Nope.
It's not an island, it's a guy.
Right.
Recounted in an interview that when the movie was made, there was no CGI, so all of the gremlins were animatronic, each costing between $30,000 and $40,000. When everyone left the lot for the day, security would have everyone open the trunks of their cars to make sure they weren't stolen.
Yikes. An earlier attempt to have monkeys play the gremlins was abandoned because the test monkey panicked when made to wear a gremlin head.
Little to no actual dialogue for the gremlins and Mogwai exist in the script. In addition to several instances of on-set rewrites, changing or adding to much of the script, the voiceovers were mostly ad-libs and repeating snippets of just performed dialogue or in reaction to other sound effects or environment. To this end, Howie Mandel recorded Gizmo's lines phonetically for foreign dubs of the movie, where localized dialogue and in-jokes helped make the movie successful with audiences worldwide.
This film was released the same day as Ghostbusters in 1984.
I mean, that's great.
1984
because they're
was
both
full
comedy
of great
with
movies.
horror elements.
And
This one's more
year,
on the horror than
1984 had Silent Night, Deadly Night,
Friday or Nightmare on Elm
Nightmare on Elm Street,
It had
Ghostbusters,
a Friday the 13th
Gremlins.
sequel, I believe.
One of in '84, I think it would have been probably part 3 or 4 of those. So it's like 6 big hitters that year.
Oh, but wait.
There's more.
This movie and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, also 1984,
Dang
are
right.
credited with inspiring the MPAA to create the PG-13 rating. Many felt the movies were too violent for a PG rating, but not violent enough for an R. See, now, you don't usually hear this one thrown in. You hear the two that were the first two to get it. The first one to get it and the first one released.
Yeah.
But this was just before that.
This was just before that. And it got the PG
Well, because there was no PG-13
because there was no
yet.
PG-13 and it wasn't enough for R.
No. No nudity, no real cussing, like mild language.
Mild language, but
Anyway.
yeah. At least one of Phoebe Cates' screams in the scene at Dory's tavern is genuine. An enormous cockroach crawled out in front of her during one take.
The time machine prop from The Time Machine in 1960 can be seen behind Randall Peltzer as he's on the phone with his wife attending a convention. A moment later, the machine has disappeared into the future or the past, to the astonishment of several onlookers. Also attending the convention were Steven Spielberg, Jerry Goldsmith, and Robbie the Robot.
Huh. After watching Tim Burton's earlier short films, executive producer Steven Spielberg considered him to direct this movie. He decided against it, however, because at the time Burton had never directed a full feature-length movie.
It would have been a very different movie with him at the helm. First of all, Johnny Depp would have been a Mogwai.
Or the dad.
Anyway, let's see. Chris Columbus' script went through a few drafts before the shooting script was finalized. His original version had Gremlins killing the dog and cutting off the mom's head and tossing it down the stairs. These elements were never shot due to the fact that Joe Dante and Warner Brothers wanted the movie to be more family-friendly.
That wouldn't have been it. Mrs. Deagle, the richest lady in town, had named her cats after different kinds of currency, including kopeck, ruble, peso, drachma, and dollar bill.
Director Joe Dante prefers Gremlins 2: The New Batch to this movie. And
I haven't seen that in a long time.
Here's what I will say. Joe Dante has a bad take on that.
All right. Executive producer Steven Spielberg had a great working relationship with screenwriter Chris Columbus, and he produced the next 2 movies Columbus scripted. The Goonies, based on an idea Spielberg had, and Young Sherlock Holmes, which was Columbus's idea. Altogether, 3 years was spent working on those 3 movies.
The Gizmo puppets were particularly frustrating because they were smaller and thus broke down more. Consequently, to satisfy the crew, a scene was included in which Gremlins hang Gizmo on a wall and throw darts at him. This was included on a list that the crew created known as Horrible Things to Do to Gizmo list.
That's messed up. In the bar scene, the video game the Gremlin is playing is Star Wars from 1983.
Oh, okay. I don't know the cabinet game of that, really. Near the beginning, as Randall Peltzer makes his way to the curio shop in Chinatown, a wrecked car is seen with the hood up and smoke coming out of it. That car is an AMC Gremlin. In real life, the AMC Gremlin logo, located on the gas cap, bore a striking resemblance to the Gremlins featured in this movie, except for a more grotesque reptilian appearance.
And then Rotten Tomatoes.
And Rotten Tomatoes, again, for those who don't know, or for those who...
Turning in for the first time or whatever.
Rotten Tomatoes is an aggregate site for professional reviewers, and if they give it basically a positive review or a negative review, that gets totaled. No matter what, if they're doing 5 stars, if they're doing yes and no, thumbs up, thumbs down, it doesn't matter.
Right.
If it's a positive review, it goes in the positive column, negative, negative. And then if it's over, I think, like 61%?
64%,
okay.
Last I knew. Well, but I don't know 100%. They change the thing sometimes.
Below 60-something, it becomes rotten anyway.
Yeah.
And then they also let the people jump in and have their positive or negative reviews, and they correlate those numbers.
Absolutely.
And here's what the people have it at 78%, which is a decent number, but surprising considering
the 85% that the critics have it at.
Usually with horror or comedy, the critics tend to go lower unless there's some
Spielberg.
Sort of... It may be that, and maybe
it's a Christmas
at
movie.
At the time, people let the politics affect it less.
Way less. Actually.
Nowadays, just with Christmas, it would be...
Just the concept of Christmas, it would get rated low.
I mean, for a lot of...
Unless it was, like...
There's a lot of reviewers that let their politics get in the middle of it. And we try not to, because this...
If a movie is good,
political.
A movie is good.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway.
Yeah.
Now it's time to talk about our favorite and least favorite scenes.
Yes.
Now, we just watched this as a refresher, because we've seen it many times.
Absolutely.
But... what would you say your absolute favorite scene was? Because I think actually we should say that. We should
that.
Why
so
don't we do
let's do the least favorite first.
Yeah.
All right. My least favorite scene is less a scene and more a thing that didn't happen, which is Mrs. Deagle didn't die, and she should have. My least favorite part is she made it out of the movie.
My least favorite part. I love that you're in a family-friendly film. You want more murder.
I mean, there was murder. Why couldn't they have murdered the bad people?
Was there murder?
Oh, a little.
There
was, a nice taste of murder.
There was a lot more attempted murder than there was actual murder. But anyway,
attempted, but there was successful a couple of times.
He's promoting murder. I apologize. Anyway, my least favorite scene, they mentioned it in one of the facts, the Santa speech, when, was it Phoebe Cates?
Yep.
When she was explaining why she doesn't like Christmas. It really doesn't fit in the movie, and the movie would be better without it, because I don't care. Like, just telling a random bummer story about her dad accidentally dying.
I mean, the entire time it had been leading up to why didn't she like Christmas? She kept saying she didn't like Christmas.
Or they could have just left that thread out because it's not necessary. It really doesn't affect the majority of the movie. And it's like, it doesn't make her interesting. It actually makes her... I don't know.
I liked it. I thought it worked pretty well.
It doesn't really fit with the movie, in my opinion. But, of course he disagrees with me. He likes bad things.
No, I liked this.
Oh, it's a good movie, but that was
a great thing.
Anyway.
And then the scene
and our
that we
favorite
share
scene
is some gremlins show up.
Well, no, what happened was, for those who don't know, the Mogwai, there's rules. We haven't mentioned
are
the rules.
rules.
I said there's rules to this and then didn't give the rules. The rules are, don't get them wet.
Don't feed
Bright
them
light
after midnight.
hurts. Well, that's the last one for a reason.
Oh.
He's the kind of guy that comes and then wants to go down on her. Anyway, did I say that? Ooh.
This is rated TVMA.
Whoops.
It said come on live Facebook.
All right. Anyway, my point is, you don't let them near the light because it can hurt them, and if it's sunlight will
directly
kill
can
them.
kill them, right?
You don't get them wet because we find out that it makes them multiply, and you don't feed them after midnight because then they transform into gremlins and are very, very dangerous.
Yes. Well, a handful of the Mogwai had been fed after midnight.
Because they pulled the they
ate the wire or
yeah,
whatever, chewed through the wire,
or sliced it or whatever they did. They made the wire on the clock not
die, so
that
it looked like it was like 11:30 or something like that.
And they basically get into a giant chrysalis.
Yes.
And when they come out, they're gremlins.
Yes.
And they did that, and the mother was home alone, and she basically turned into the queen of all badass chicks.
Oh yeah.
Like all of us, like out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere, she just starts kicking their asses.
Evil creatures start messing with them, and they're just
she
like
just kills
boom.
them all.
Yeah.
Like it was badass.
The blender
and it was bloody.
specifically.
It was
probably,
disgusting.
It was like greenish blue blood, but it was bloody.
It was gremlin blood, so it didn't have to be red.
Right. But my point is, it was pretty gory and awesome.
It was disgusting. I loved it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So on a scale from 1 to 10, what would you rate this movie?
I mean, you add the nostalgia of growing up with this movie, and
I think
I'm
that
going
I'm
9.5.
going 9.5. Okay, so look at that, 9.5, and it's hard not to say a perfect 10, but there's like, all right, some of the special effects is like, but then even then it's like something wholesome about that because it's like.
You know, even Ghostbusters, the first one, didn't really have CG. They had
They had layering and they had like
green screen and
but
or
very
screen,
little.
Whatever color screen, it was still a screen.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, 9.5 for both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen this movie, do.
And if you have seen this movie, it's a
Do
Christmas
again.
classic. Watch it every year. We have a few that we watch every year.
Yes, we do.
This
Night,
isn't
Deadly Night.
one of them, but it probably should be.
It should be.
Yeah.
Christmas Story, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Christmas Vacation's great.
Oh.
I mean, anyway, we don't do the Hallmark ones, though. I dated
we
someone
watch
who
the good
did,
ones.
and it just makes me hate them even more. No Christmas shoes at our house.
Oh.
The song or the film. Anyway.
The song.
Now, over to this side.
That side of the screen. You can watch this show on Fact TV channel 1076, Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. and Fridays at 7 p.m.
You can follow us on Facebook just look for Gory Storytime. You can also follow Fact TV. You may have, and if you did, and you are watching this live streamed right now,
then you
apologize
heard him swear.
for the cussing.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Was not actually meant. It was just off the top of my head, and I realized, oh, that's a different show I do that I
That's
can
a
talk
thing
that
that he doesn't say on these shows.
Not usually.
This one.
Except for the 200th special, which you can still go watch on their website, I'm sure.
Because it's a great
on
episode.
YouTube. Like, just
because since you're like a huge fan of the show, go and watch them all.
But anyway.
You can go and watch a bunch of the show on factdate.com. Watch our back episodes of this. You can watch a bunch of the other programming that they have on this channel because people actually come here and film stuff.
Yeah.
Like, mind-blowing.
This small little hamlet produces a lot of new content every week, which is, and not just, filming school board meetings and stuff.
I mean, don't get us wrong, they do that too.
Yeah, but they
also have, like, cool stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like this.
Like us. We are the coolest
Music
of the
videos.
stuffs.
There's many music videos from local artists. I mean, there's a bunch
Dang
of stuff.
right.
But anyway, you can also follow us on Twitter. I'm at Craig Jakes, all one word, all lowercase.
I'm at Jiggly Firm Brain, and I only tweet things that he says that I find funny in or out of context.
Absolutely. And just go on to YouTube and subscribe to, look for Juggalo Jakes, all one word, or you can just type in Gory Storytime and you'll come up with episodes that I have posted and Fact TV has posted. Subscribe to their channel too.
Absolutely. And until next week with another Christmas movie, I've been your host, Jason.
I'm his co-host and his father, Craig, and
Sweet dreams.